What do you do when your significant other cheats on you? Well, it's probably safe to say that most people would leave, and I would probably do that as well. But not everyone, and we've got that situation right here. From Be Gone 777. My husband cheated on me and I decided to stay. Now I just want another man to notice me. This sounds like a very unhealthy situation to, live in. Quite stressful, probably. Very emotionally, what's the word? I want to say unstable, but I don't know if that's the right word. But I mean, you get what I'm getting at, right? You get it. Be honest now. I understand I am a bad person. I know that I am no better than my husband, but I just cannot handle the lack of validation and love anymore. So if we can make some assumptions right now, which is what we are going to do, because that's what I always do when we cover these types of things, is that of course she stays. She stays after he cheated on her. Now that's personally, I don't think that's the right idea. But you can do whatever you want. However, according to the title, she's waiting for another man to notice her. I don't understand why you wouldn't just leave him then go on to find another man. Unless you want him to file for divorce. Because then, kind of like a Walter White situation where Skylar cheated on him because she wanted him to divorce her. And he wouldn't, so she thought I'd cheat on him and then he wouldn't want to be married to me anymore because I don't want to be in the situation, right? People always say Skylar was the bad guy for cheating, but she cheated and that's not okay. We're just gonna reject all the murdering and illegal meth dealing and ruining people's lives by manufacturing that, by the way. That's always something they conveniently, do not mention, right? Because meth ruins people's lives and that of their children. So you can see it in that one episode where Jesse goes to those crack house people who robbed one of his dealers in season 2 or 3, I think 2. The child was super neglected. Skylar wasn't the bad. Anyway, that's all besides the point. That's all a tangent that we're not going to go on. But that's the only reason I could see you not leaving him and wanting another man. But otherwise, why don't just leave him and then find another man who will treat you right and not cheat on you? You know what I'm saying? I got married last summer to my husband, who proposed to me after 2 years together. A month later, I found out he'd been sexting girls on an anonymous website. He had a whole separate email set up for these accounts he had. There were hundreds of messages. He cried, claimed it was an addiction he was struggling with since he was young. I was devastated. I had never felt so much pain in my life. I still have flashbacks to that day, dry heaving and sobbing after finding out the love of my life was all fantasizing about effing moms and older women while avoiding having sex with me. I always considered him the exception to men, a devoted man who could never hurt me. He swore he'd never hurt me. He knew I had family trauma related to cheating. My dad cheated on my mom my entire upbringing, and yet he still made that decision. We have a few things to tackle here. First of all, never see your partner as some sort of deity who can never do anything wrong, because that's just not true, right? Secondly, I can't imagine how much pain it would be to indeed have something like this happen to you, where he just doesn't or barely has sex with you. He was avoiding it, but he's fantasizing about having sex with other people. That must hurt so bad. And also, how are you getting married, yet you claim you have this addiction? Shouldn't you first go to therapy and try to, or maybe you don't dare to go to therapy because it's kind of embarrassing, but work on this problem until you don't have this problem anymore before you get married? Does that maybe make sense? I think that makes sense. I know I'm not saying that addiction isn't a very, very bad thing, because I know addiction is not just drugs or alcohol. It can be food. It can be something like porn or something like this. It can be gambling. We know gambling is pretty accepted, right? But food and porn are kind of more taboo or new. And I know for a fact those are serious. They work the same. It all works the same. And I can explain why, actually. The problem with something like messaging this stuff that he does, right? Sexting girls on an anonymous website or porn, because he's probably looking at... That's an assumption, I know, but most likely a gooner like this is also looking at a lot of porn. But it's kind of the same for both. So either texting those girls, The thing is, you do that while, of course... masturbating. This is very weird. This is why the channel is made not for kids, YouTube. This is why. Because I may not swear because I'm Christian, but the topics are not for kids. So if you are a child, click off right now, because we're discussing big adult topics here, okay? So anyway, you are doing the deeds, all right? You are making a motion with your hand upside down in your crotch area. While you're doing that, all right? So not only is your brain being stimulated by the masturbation itself, it is then also extra stimulated by texting these girls and having them respond and being kind of taboo about it. And that's just stimulating in your brain like more than a brain is supposed to handle. And that is so addictive because you never feel that in your life. You're not supposed to, at least. So you yearn for that overstimulation more and more and more. And that's why people get addicted to social media. Same thing with food, because it's not like, oh, this food is so delicious, I just can't stop eating it. It is the simple pleasure and stimulation you get from the food that you crave every time you eat it, right? But the thing is, the more you do it, the less the stimulation actually stimulates, because your brain gets desensitized and your dopamine gets fried. And it works the same with gambling. Gambling is especially sinister about it, because it's so made to stimulate you, to get you chasing that high again and again. And even something like shorts or TikTok reels, it's all the same, is designed to get you a few bad ones, then a really good one, then a mid one, then a pretty funny, then two not really, then one really controversial where you're like, whoa, then you get a really funny one again, and that way it keeps you guessing for the next one. And that's so addictive because it's so stimulating. Every time you have an addiction, it's because of stimulation like that. And it's a little bit different when drugs or alcohol is involved, because it alters your brain. But if it's something like this, that's the cause. That is why. And I always think that knowing what it's coming from is the first step to beating the addiction. So that's a little lesson here for you. I'm an educational channel sometimes. I have good stuff to say sometimes. So his addiction is serious. I am taking it serious because I know that it can be. However, you have to pull yourself together. You cannot get married while you have an addiction of cheating, basically. Yes, it's not having sex with another woman, but it's like the fantasization about it. I don't know if that's a word, but that doesn't matter. While sexting is I consider it like full-on cheating. Like, there's no debate about this. You're cheating. I made the decision to stay, I think because of shame. I really did think there was something wrong with me to have caused him to turn his back on me. But also, we come from a very religious, very cultural community. It isn't easy being divorced, but I haven't been the same since. It's almost been 8 months, and although I've gotten good at masking it, I have not moved on from that pit that I've dug myself into. I go to work as usual, I hang out with my friends, do what needs to be done. My husband has to leave for work for months at a time, so he's currently gone. That leaves me a lot of time to sulk around in my thoughts. He's really trying to be a better person, I just never really know what he's up to. But I feel emotionally detached in a way I would have never imagined possible with him. Yeah, that super sucks that he's gone, you know? I mean, if you're gonna stay, which I think you shouldn't. I am religious, right? So I can add a different perspective onto this, because I'm assuming, especially if people use Reddit, usually these are atheists and are not a big fan of religion. At least that's what I've seen, so that's biased, by the way. I just wanted to put that out there. Take my statement here with a grain of salt. But marriage is sacred. And I keep thinking that the fact that your husband had this addiction, he had to go through that first. He had to fix it first. And I want to be sympathetic, but it is his fault. And you, for shame, you don't have to feel shame for divorcing someone after they cheated on you. Because in a religious sense, because if we're talking about marriage and religion, of course, we know how serious it's taken in religions. He already ruined it. He already did that. It's not like, oh, if you leave him now, you're ruining everything. It was already ruined. He already broke your trust. He already committed adultery with other hundreds of messages, he said. Hundreds! That's not on you anymore. Never was, but like, it's not on you. It's not on you. I'm sorry, but it's not. And it is complicated, and it super sucks. I know it does, but you can't feel like something's wrong with you when it's just not on you. It's not your fault. It pains me to see someone blame themselves. I really did think there was something wrong with me to have caused him to turn his back on me. I think it's great to not immediately blame other people. You know, always look inward, but that doesn't always mean that looking inward is the correct option, you know. What kills me the most is that I've started developing a weird desire to be acknowledged. Not by my husband, by other men. I want somebody to look at me, see beauty and intellect like he used to when we first met. I want someone to fall in love with me all over again. And God, I just crave a relationship where I don't even have to think about cheating. I know a lot of people will tell me my marriage is doomed and that I'm a crap person too, and I know that may all be true, but this is my reality currently. I haven't been able to speak to anyone about this ever, and so I'm here to vent. I'm trying to start therapy again, something my husband is against, mind you, but I'm doing it behind his back because it deemed it necessary. That process has taken a while. And those of you who keep messaging me with the intent of starting an affair or taking advantage of my vulnerability, please think before you shoot me a message. Women are allowed to talk about a situation like this and not still somehow be reduced to a form of sexual gratification. I'm not using this post to beg for attention. I'm simply getting it off my chest, looking for advice perhaps. It's 2025, understand that there's nuance. Yeah, that is super, super gross. Shame on you, honestly, if you do this. You know, I mean, not you. You are not doing this because you're watching these videos. So you are a good person, right? None of us are really good people. We all sin a lot of the times. Okay, let's not start religious talking, okay? I will in fact tell you that your marriage is doomed, but you are not a crap person. Your desire for attention from other men is completely understandable, and here's why. You kind of said it yourself. Your husband doesn't give you these things. You go into a relationship wanting to be wanted, because of course you do. And when it goes stale, sometimes people just get old and they kind of get tired of each other. But with something like this as well, when people start desiring each other, not just sexually, but just in pure attraction and kind of romance, desire for each other, that's when a relationship is doomed. I know for sure that that's the case, because you can stay together and be okay, but the relationship is not really there anymore. You're just a friendship who also sleeps together, but as in like just sleep, not as in, you know. Also, your husband is against therapy. Why? That seems like and now you're doing it behind his back. Your relationship or marriage is super dysfunctional. If I can, you know, I mean, it is for sure, but like this just adds on to how dysfunctional it is. Therapy would be a good thing, yeah. I completely understand why you desire other men, because your husband is not giving it to you, and you want that, because of course you want that in a relationship, but you're not getting it. You're not getting your needs met, so you're looking for them elsewhere. I think it's dishonest not to be honest to your husband. However, I do understand it, but you're gonna have to be honest to him and say that you want a divorce, because you cannot live like this. You will be left miserable. You'll maybe cheat. You know, that's definitely a possibility like this. And then what will happen is people will blame you, say that you were in the wrong, and then unjustly, and I hate injustice. I get really mad at it, so please avoid it. Otherwise, I'm gonna get pissed off. Yeah, look, I know she's not watching this video, so I'm giving out this advice out into the air, never to be seen by anyone who can use it. Or maybe it is. I do want to reiterate one more time. How do you read this post, read about this woman going through emotional distress and a very, very horrible situation, and the first thing you think of is yes, easy sex? How much of a gooner, a little coomer, right? I bet if we start searching around your room, we can find a bunch of toilet paper with cum stains all over it, because you just cannot control yourself. Am I right or am I wrong? But I've said my piece. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment your favorite, I don't know, comment your favorite job. Yeah. Jesus loves you. And let's get out of here.